Happy Tuesday, everybody. I hope we're all doing good. It's your girl Seeker in the house. It's story time. Today, I want to talk about a man who had worked so hard, bought a house, and was living his life. He came across this woman who was really struggling to make ends meet. She was almost out on the streets, unable to even provide her daily meals for herself. But just because of her quest to live and how hard she was working and trying to push against all the odds of her life to make it, he was smitten by her and her quest for living and took her on. They started a relationship, cleaned her up, helped her find a job. Eventually, when he got comfortable, he invited her to her house or to his house. And then they started their life together. They eventually get married and they have 4 children. Their marriage goes on. Everything on the face of it seems fine. And they had been married for about 20 years. The kids were old enough, were in college. And so now this woman in her mid-50s is living with her husband at home whilst the children were in different states going to school. Some of them had actually finished and were working. But as time would have it, this man was a truck driver and he had worked so many years, long distances. He was away from the house between 7 and 14 days at a time. And so when he's gone, his wife is home. They call every day. They talk several times on the journey. He gets all the rundown about what's going on in the house whilst he's away. This particular trip, he decides that he's not going to tell his wife exactly when he's coming back. It was coming to Valentine's, and he wanted to surprise his wife. So he went on his trip. The trip was going to last for 7 days, but he didn't tell his wife that that's when he was coming home. So they said their goodbyes. He was gone. They talk every day. And then he was done with his trip and had actually turned about and was coming back home. On his way home, he passed by a flower shop, bought his wife a bouquet of roses. He also went and got some champagne and a cake to celebrate their love for each other and their marriage of over 2 decades on Valentine's Day. However, on getting closer to the house, he heard some moaning, as if, the sort of moaning that goes on when a man and a woman are being intimate. And he thought, who's sleeping in our house? Have any of my sons come back and they've brought a girlfriend, sneaked a girlfriend in whilst my wife's not home, or what's going on? He entered the house quietly, went up the stairs to their bedroom to find his wife in bed with their next door neighbor. He quietly closes the door, comes back down the stairs, and just sits in the couch, waiting for them to be done with whatever they were doing. The horror only hitting home when his wife and his next door neighbor came downstairs to grab a bite to eat, to find the husband sitting in the darkness in the couch in the living room. Obviously, the marriage ended there and then. He got the woman to pack bag and baggage, and what should have been a happy reunion after 7 days of leaving the house to spend time with his wife and spend Valentine's together, celebrate their love for each other, that actually turned out to be his worst nightmare. You see, in this life, if you don't learn contentment and you're always chasing around for the next thing, because as human beings, that's what it is. We always think there's something better out there, and we're always looking for something better than what we have out there. If you live that kind of life and you're not satisfied with your lot, you're always thinking that there is something better out there that you can find. My darling, you miss out on the best things that life has for you. If you're marrying somebody, or if you're deciding to spend your life with somebody, make a decision. Is this really what I want? Can I cope with this man? Can I cope with this woman for the rest of my life? Am I prepared to be with this person for better and for worse? And am I prepared to grow older with this person? This is why I always talk about the fact that before you make such a huge commitment, because, you know, at these ages of mine, all the people that I know, I can tell you 2/3, if not more of them, all the issues that they're having in midlife, the foundations of all of it has to do with relationship, marriage, relationship, marriage. That's all that you hear. They would tell you all of their life's trials and tribulations, but when you dig deep to the root causes of it, it all boils down to relationship. It's why I talk about relationships so much. Because in my middle ages, I'm finding my friends, my colleagues, the people I work with inside, like all the acquaintances that I have. When you dig down into the roots of everything that they're facing, it all always comes back to relationship. A decision that they made to yoke with somebody that has turned out to be their worst nightmare. There are still happy marriages. There are still good men. There are still great women out there. The issue is finding this good person to be with and to yoke with. If you take your time, if you pray, if you trust your higher source, mine is God. I don't know what yours is, but if you trust God that he can help you discern right from wrong, if you're not in any huge hurry, just to pick anything going because time is going, I'm desperate, I'm tired of being by myself, you run the risk of meeting and picking up people that are not prepared to spend a life with you and are only in just because of what they seek to gain. This woman had been in this marriage with this man for over 2 decades. So the $1 million question is, when did he start? When did she start having affairs behind this man's back? Since when did this woman start sleeping with their next door neighbor behind the husband's back? Because the man was a truck driver. He was always out on the road. The only times he was home was over special events like Thanksgiving, Christmas time, and things like that. When did this whole thing begin? You see, we women of today's world, a lot of us are getting married, and it's not because we really want to commit to somebody and make a life with them. We're just looking at what they have. Oh, he's bought a house. He has a car. Oh, he's self-sufficient. He can take good care of me. You're not going in with good intentions that I am going to go and support this man, and the two of us are going to make a life together. You're going in because of the things that you're seeing that he has. Outward things that fade away. Possessions, assets, what can I have? That is what is fueling a lot of people to get married. They're not bringing emotion into it. They're not taking love into question. If this woman knew that she didn't love this man, maybe his bedroom antiques went up to scratch for her. The question is, why did you get married to him and have 4 children with this man? This other man having an affair with somebody else's wife, obviously, has not also learned the spirit of contentment. Look, in this life, there's always going to be somebody more beautiful than you, more intelligent than you, richer than you, more handsome than you, bigger than you, smaller than you. You always have to come to a place where you just say to yourself, you know, I am just going to be content with who I am and with what I have. And I am going to ask my Heavenly Father to help me to be able to get better at everything that I'm doing every day, to expand my coast, enlarge my coast and my territory. But to want something that is not yours, to take something that does not belong to you, just because you think It's there to be had, so I have to have it. It always has consequences. There's a similar story like this that happened in England some years back. The man had brought the woman, they were living together, they were married with children, and then as time went on, the man would go and work overnight, the wife with the children at home. As soon as the wife put the children to bed, she would go sneak the next door neighbor into the house through the back. And they would be at it the whole night till the crack of dawn. And then he sneaks back through the back of the house into his house. And this had gone on for a long time. The neighbors were seeing what was happening. Somebody told the husband that this is what has been happening in your absence. So if you like, at this sort of time, just go back home and you'll see what you'd find. This man wasn't able to keep his emotions in check. He leaves the house, doesn't go to work, drives somewhere, waits for a couple hours, and then comes back home anonymously. Only to find his neighbor on top of his wife. He couldn't control himself. He picked up for chopping things and ended up doing that to the woman a whole 96 times. And she perished. The man managed to flee, and the wife became the sacrificial lamb to be slain. Today, this man is behind bars. These are some of the things that happen. And so if you're a woman that knows that you can't commit to one person and just stay faithful, please, just keep yourself to yourself. Don't go into a marriage in deceit and lie to the other person that you're in this thing because you really want to make a life with them. The first woman managed to get away with what she did just by packing bags and leaving. You might not be so lucky. This marriage thing, it's a big deal. It's no joking. It's two souls coming together as one. That's how it was intended to be. And you know, when you're yoking with somebody that you're actually in love with, the thought doesn't come to your mind to do craziness like that because you actually have feelings for this other person. If the feelings don't exist, just walk on, jog on. Don't go marry somebody and live this lie life and stress yourself out because of assets that you think you can acquire. What is all of this? Like, why? It's both men and women. Today, it's the women I'm bashing. But there are husbands that are equally doing the same things too. Marry a woman, leave home, go make a life with some other person. If you knew you weren't interested in this woman, why are you married to her? It's all about what you seek to get. A lot of my brothers think that when you meet a woman and she has the front axils and the back axils and her face is looking nice, oh yeah, this is a woman that is worthy of being called a wife. Some of you have good women at home. You won't appreciate them. But you're chasing after the next thing out there because you think that that is what is going to give you the satisfaction and the gratification that you're looking for. There will always be somebody that does it better than you. There will always be somebody prettier than your wife, more handsome, younger than your husband. If we're going to carry on liking and having dirty feelings for everything and thinking that we have to have everything that is in this life, where does the buck stop? When are you ever going to say, you know what, I'm just content with what my God has given me. I love my husband for who he is. I love my wife just the way she is. This woman would be with you through thick and thin. When you're nothing. When you didn't have a name. when all you had to your name was one pair of shoes and pants, this woman would stay with you, cook for you, do everything. And then some of my brothers, as soon as you start making money, you forget all the sacrifice. That time when you were lying on the bare floor eating gari from the same bowl together, you forget all of that. Just because now you've become prominent, you have a name. People give you regard. And so you've forgotten where you started from and how far you've been brought. If you don't learn the spirit of contentment, being satisfied with your lot, and asking the heavens to pour and shower blessings on what you already have, and you're always chasing after the next thing, my darling, my brother, my sister, you will never have anything. When it really matters, when it really counts, when you're old and out, when you're down and out, you will have nothing. There's so many people that we see out there today that are suffering and going through a hard time, and we don't understand why. But if you knew them a couple decades back and you saw the life that they led, it's not a surprise that today they're living the life that they're living. Because karma, it works and it exists. The law, that's law. It's there. If you take something that does not belong to you, pay a price for it. There ain't nothing like free on this planet. Whatever you give, good measured, pressed down, shaking together is what you get back, good or bad. That's just how life is. So if you want to have a life of peace, a life of excitement, a life of happiness, give that. And be happy and contented with what you have. Be satisfied with your lot. Some of us men and women have unrealistic expectations, and that is my last point this morning. What a 50-year-old woman can do in bed, it can never be compared with what a 20-year-old can do. The two are very different. A 50-year-old body that has been through all that you've put it through, the annoyance, the anger, the frustration, the children, the work, and life can never be compared to a 20-year-old body that has just come out of school and being looked after by parents. Understand that. Unrealistic expectations is part of the problem. A 50-year-old man that has worked more than half of their life to put food on the table, to put a roof over your head, to help you look after your children. The things that that man can do in bed can never be compared to an 18-year-old, a 25-year-old man that is literally now coming out of school. The two are very different. Grow older together, mature together, and just understand life for what it is. People aren't able to do the antiques in the bedroom because the stresses of life alone, it's too much. Sometimes your husband there's nothing wrong with him. He's ding-a-ling, there's nothing wrong with him. He's okay, it's just the stress of life. Because he's thinking, where's the next meal going to come from? How are we going to pay our mortgage? How is this? He's always thinking. Our sisters go through the changes of life too. Men, understand that. A woman who's had children will never be the same as one that hasn't, and a younger one for that matter. We go through so many hormonal changes in this life. My brothers, if you can't understand this basic thing, marriage is not for you. If we can just understand each other and set realistic expectations, this life will be such a happier place. When she met you, you had a whole head of hair. Now, in your late 30s, early 40s, you're going bald. You're not the same. Now you have a protruding belly. She's coping and managing that. Why can't you make do with the sagging boobs that you have made like that with your children? Why? You're always chasing after the next thing. She's always chasing after the next thing, thinking that it gets better out there. Contentment, contentment, contentment. If we can just learn that and live our lives in peace and be happy and contented, satisfied with what we have, the world would be such a happy place. If you don't want to live this life alone, if you want to have somebody holding your hands at that time, it's all based on the life that you live now. That's what is going to determine what your later years are going to be like. I'm exposed to a lot of things in people's homes on a daily basis because of what I do. And I can tell you, it's so beautiful to hear couples that have been married for 60 years and counting. And they're so close and so smitten by each other, even after 60 years. If our Igbo partners can do it, why can't we? What is so different about them compared to us? Contentment, that's all it is. Discipline, that's all it is. And if we can learn this, and we can practice this, and we can really let this seep into the core of our beings, the world will be a happier place. I hope you've learned something from this story. Contentment. Contentment. Being satisfied with your lot. Yeah, contentment. That. It guarantees and ensures that you're not ever alone when it really counts and it really matters. Somebody has thrown away their marriage because of feelings they couldn't suppress, because of contentment that they didn't have, and wanted everything that life has to offer. May the heavens bless you, and may your day-to-day be as good as you want it to be. I love you all so much. Bye.